Welcome to Oh Hell No with Nicole.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Oh Hell No podcast. Today, I have Mikelahs Rose with me. She is the founder of Style and Vibes, which is a digital media platform dedicated to Caribbean style, music, travel, and culture. Welcome, Mikelahs.
Thank you so much for having me. I definitely appreciate you having me on the Oh Hell No podcast.
Yes, girl. So, first of all, what island are you repping?
I am representing Jamaica, of course. My family actually is from Jamaica. I was born here. Ayadi from abroad.
Yes, same here. So last week I released a episode where I discussed, I don't even want to call it controversy, but just the issue of us children who are born here to parents, who were born in the Caribbean, and how we struggle with fitting in with the people here and identifying with our culture and our people back home. Can you tell us a little bit about your struggles, or if you face that and how you deal with it?
A lot more when I was younger. I think as time kind of grew on and I kind of realized, how much impact we have on the country and the culture and spreading. I mean, you go everywhere and you can say, looking for a Jamaican restaurant or much anywhere. So I think that was more of a struggle when I was younger. I think, I grew up in a smaller town, and there's a small, Jamaican community that is here. So I grew up with a lot of, first generation or people that had migrated or their parents had migrated. And we would actually form kind of a kinship. So I don't think it was necessarily as, oh, you're not Jamaican enough. They knew that I wasn't from there, but they kind of had that familiarity with me because my parents were from there, and I related to them and their culture. So I kind of just gravitated towards, mostly people who their parents had come here or they were, recently been here from I was that age. I think, sometimes in the family they'll kind of joke and say, oh, you're not Jamaican, you're not, you're a Yankee or them kind of something there. But, I think over the years, as I understood how much of a role the diaspora played in, contributing to, visiting back home and, the grocery store around the corner, we remain so connected with our culture that I was never just an American or just a Jamaican. So I definitely embraced, both sides of my culture because that duality is just, naturally a part of me. And, it's so funny now, a lot of times those same kids that I kind of grew up with, they're raising their kids the same way that I was raised. And, they're making sure that that culture stays embedded from generation to generation. So I think it's important to kind of remain connected, especially, in these times where you kind of feel like you don't belong anywhere, remaining connected to your roots and understanding your culture and where you come from. Definitely gives you an edge and makes you feel, like you're part of something bigger than just yourself.
Absolutely. Well said. So tell me 3 things that you're passionate about.
I would say family, music, / culture, like my own, I'm very passionate about my culture, and then probably just new experiences. I think it's important to, continuously learn and grow. Family is, the most important thing for me, that, I spend as much time with them and, capture all the moments, that you want to as a family. So I would say, yeah, those 3 things. And then, music is something that I have always kind of gravitated towards, and, embracing my Caribbean culture and really just exploring other cultures outside of my own.
All right. So before we talk about Style and Vibes, tell us, what do you do professionally from 9 to 5?
Yeah, so I work in content as well outside. I have an editorial background. So I came from publishing, and kind of at the time where I was looking for jobs, I did journalism, writing, radio, and a little bit of local television. There weren't as many jobs. So I would kind of continue, what I was doing on the side and working in those industries. But they actually kind of started tanking around that time. So I actually do content in the digital form for a consumer packaged goods company. So I manage their assets and, their information on, retailers like Amazon and Walmart and Target. So I can kind of use what I have learned, creating style and vibes in a more entrepreneurial mindset to kind of apply that to my day-to-day, because, you have bigger budgets and more processes, whereas, with my own thing, I can try and test as much different content and ideas as I would like. And I can kind of bring it to the table. And they're, aware of my website and stuff like that. So they're very supportive in me being able to kind of do both.
Oh, that's amazing. So when did you discover blogging, right? And what or who inspired you to start your own blog?
Oh, wow. This goes way back to college. So I went to Baruch College after transferring from St. John's University. And I wasn't planning on really getting involved. I was very focused. I knew what I wanted to do, and I just kind of was on a mission to do that. And then when things kind of shifted, I said, let me find something that I wanted to be a part of. I wanted to work in music, and I wanted to work for a record label. After working for one, I kind of adjusted and kind of shifted my mindset and kind of opening the possibilities. And I took up a journalism class, a TV journalism class, even at my internship. And when I became permanent at that record label, one of the promo team guys, he was like, you should, get in touch with your college radio station. They have like a lot of access to all of these things. We can give you the music. And I kind of kept that thought kind of lingering in my head. And then I saw a flyer. They were looking for a Caribbean music director for the radio station. And so I really applied. And the GM at the time, my good friend, Sean, he really embraced me, and he was a great writer, and he was at the time, MySpace was really popular, and I started doing a radio program called Sound Clash Radio, and he encouraged me to start a blog, even if not just to kind of hold some of the reels from the radio station. So the radio station, the satellite was like so limited being in New York. So we were actually on the internet at the time, and internet radio wasn't that big at the time, but we were able to kind of download our shows and put them on, CDs. So I would take some of the clips, and I'm like, well, somebody that's coming to our website, they want to, listen to just more than just me. And so we literally sat in Bryant Park for like hours using their free Wi-Fi, and he showed me all these different techniques. He showed me about WordPress, Blogspot, and I kind of went, just doing both. And he showed me everything that he had known, and I kind of just started from there. And then as you start like learning more and growing, and you want to customize the site and you want to write more, it kind of just really grew from there. So it became at first a hub for me to just share my clips and share some of what I was interested in, share some of my writing and things like that. And it really just grew from there. Who inspires me from a blogging perspective? I think at that time I was really inspired by sites like Concrete Loop, Young Black and Fabulous. Nicole Bitchie was like really popular. At that time, Fashion Bomb Daily had started as well. So there were a lot of like entertainment sites. I remember Nicole Bitchie actually had like this Ning platform where a lot of these same bloggers were kind of collaborating. And I really didn't see any of them like myself. And even, going to events and saying, hey, I have a Caribbean blog. It's about music, fashion. I would kind of get that. Oh, okay. They weren't really sure what you say you have a hip hop blog, it kind of there were a lot more people in that space at that time. So I felt, a little a fish out of water because, people weren't necessarily able to connect with what I was trying to do. But as I kind of really refined and more people started coming into the space and, you start finding your own crew, and more people being in the space definitely helps. YouTube, wasn't as big as it is now. And Facebook was, only open to college students. So, MySpace was still around. So those were kind of like the things that kind of were happening at that time. And a lot of those bloggers have really gone on to do amazing things. So they continue to inspire me. Concrete Loop is no longer around. But, she was able to write a book, and, Claire Summers of Fashion Magazine, she's writing books and doing events and stuff like that. So it's great to see others really growing in the space. I think from an audience perspective, it kind of took, my audience a little bit more of a longer time to kind of get there. So now, I say I have a Caribbean blog or website and people kind of immediately know exactly what I'm doing. And lifestyle blogging wasn't even a thing. Like it was like, it can't be just one thing or the other, especially me writing for like magazines and stuff like that. I kind of said to myself, I kind of want to create this little hub, for us because, print is kind of on its way and it's really expensive to print magazines. So if you have a digital platform, it'll always be there. So I think, and I didn't have to deal with distribution. So it was definitely a way for me to, create, writing pieces that I really wanted to write, and engaging with my core audience that I really wanted to kind of stay connected with.
So in that, you said something very interesting. So I want you to share with people, because I feel like a lot of times we start things and we expect this immediate explosion, right? People are supposed to find our blogs and find our websites and be on it, and we're going to just catapult to the top. So can you explain to the audience, from when you started your blog, how long did it take you to really get some, good traffic where you could say like now you just said, I have a Caribbean blog, and people are like, oh yeah, I heard about it, or I know somebody who looks at it, or whatever. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, to be completely honest, yeah, people recognize the name, but I still feel like I'm not there yet,
No, I know.
Site, is it? Oh.
Yeah, no, I know that we're always striving, right, to build and build and build. But from the moment where you started, where you saw your numbers, and to today, the growth that you've had, you're still working, you're still building. But I just want you to just talk a little bit about starting a blog and, growing it. Like, you have to water it, nurture it. It takes a while. So I just want you to speak to that, to the, the continuous growth and the struggle early on and just getting the name out there and things like that, because I feel like people just don't understand that it takes time for these things to grow.
Oh, most definitely. There's definitely a whole lot of, challenges. There are days where you're like, why am I doing this? Where, there are definitely days where you want to kind of give up, and you kind of have to think about the mission and why you started in the first place. I know people will say that all the time, but it really, and I find that I always get like a reader note or a tiny bit of inspiration when someone kind of sends me a message and just say, hey, I really like this, and this is why. Especially Caribbean people, they don't always comment in the comment section of your blog, but they're reading because the numbers clearly say that they're reading. That's just our community as a whole. We like to engage, privately. So, for me, adjusting to that. So, other blogs were getting, 30 and 40 comments within the same week of posting one article. And I could go months without even, someone even commenting. So it kind of feels like, maybe no one is listening, or, people aren't that interested. And it's not that. it took me some time to really understand where my audience is, what they really want. And that kind of changes over time, especially for people who have been with you from the beginning. Now those individuals, they're going into a different space. So am I keeping my target audience? Social media has kind of taken on a life of its own, and you really just have to adjust to where your market is. And it's kind of a balance of executing on the things that you want and executing on the things that your readers really want to read and where they want to read it. So the messaging is different. So right now I'm pretty focused on like Instagram and Facebook, but those are slightly different audiences. So they engage a little differently, so I have to be mindful of that. And a lot of times the website traffic now for everybody is kind of down because people want their content, especially from an entertainment perspective. They don't want to come out of Instagram, or they're not coming out of Facebook in order to engage in the content that's on your website always. So you have to, if you want, it's more about the content and reaching the people that you're supposed to in the space that they want to receive it in. So that took some time to really understand, because, and then not only that, as bootstrapping the entire, website on my own. I have no investors. I'm the only one that's investing in this site at this time. So I have to focus my budgets where I think it would be most valuable, and spending my time in spaces where it's most valuable to myself and to my audience. So those things really come with, keeping engaged and understanding the changes that are happening, how people are consuming, and really reaching them in the spaces that they want to, rather than trying to take everyone with you everywhere, because they're not everywhere. They're not going, quite frankly, most people that you follow, I mean, think of it as a consumer. I don't necessarily follow the same brand on Instagram, Facebook, and sign up for their email newsletter. I might do one or two, but I'm not going to follow them on every single platform unless I'm like this super fan. And most times brands don't have that. Some brands have those kind of super fandom, but that's more of like a personality. So like a Kim Kardashian or a Nicki Minaj, those are like super fans. So they want to engage with them everywhere. I don't necessarily think of Style and Vibes as having, super fans where they're going to, be everywhere with me all the time. So just, level set your expectations, be willing to adjust, and really just stick with it. You have to put in the work, and really understand, why you're doing this, and just continue to just do the work. You can read as many books, you can read as many articles, but, the work that you're avoiding, the execution, that's where the real progress is being made. And once I doubled down on, not paying attention to what everyone else is doing in the space, I really started to see that the numbers really drive and grow in a way that I'm very happy with. And that's really what it was, is, that comparison game is real. And, it doesn't matter if you're a child or an adult, you always want to compare your success with that of others. And you really can't. And if you can kind of change your mindset and just say, I'm just like almost shut out the rest of the world. Like once you figure out what you want to do, shut out the rest of the world and just do that, and consistently do it. And you'll gradually see those numbers increase the way that you want to, but you can't be, everyone's fan and doing your own thing at the same time. Like you just don't have that kind of time, especially if you're doing it by yourself.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. I listen to a lot of podcasts about business, and one thing that I consistently hear some people say is that you kind of have to just zone out and do you, like focus on what you want to do and not so much worry about what everybody else is doing, because what works for one person is not necessarily going to work for the other. So it's great to, look at things that you like and, be inspired, but also go into that zone and just remember what your, objective is. So I think that's great
Yeah,
advice.
it's like a social media like down. It's almost like going down a rabbit hole, right? You just you're using it for inspiration, and even I kind of get caught up. I was like, oh, I'm just gonna look at something real quick, and then you find it's like 20 minutes later, and I'm like, this is 20 minutes I could have used,
Right.
scheduling some social posts or doing some research, and then if you put it under the category of, oh, I'm researching, but are you really like, I'm trying to get inspiration. It's just like, no, I'm just scrolling. So if you have like kind of those mindsets and that kind of trigger where you at least understand like, what am I really doing? Then you can kind of like stop yourself and kind of refocus and reshift. Because there's only but so much time in the day, and I'm team sleep. Like I'm not that about that life where I'm up all night doing everything. On occasion, yes, but it's not like a consistent daily thing. So I think it's important to manage your time and how you spend your time, because, an hour can go by that you were like doing something else where you could have been focused on what you really want to be working on.
Yeah, I'm so guilty of that. I'm always on social media, and it's just really just to look at the
It's
BS.
hard.
Yeah,
It
it's like
really is
looking at
addictive.
pictures, looking at clothes, looking at makeup, like just nonsense. It's not even anything concrete. But
But you know what though? It's almost like entertainment, right? Because
mhm.
you don't like if you don't watch TV, you're on your phone. So I guess you can somewhat justify the transit. I used to spend hours watching TV, mindless TV, and now I'm not watching as much TV, but I'm spending that same. You could be spending that same amount of time on Facebook, Instagram. So and now they have like digital programs and shows where you can just. It's so easy and so accessible now to just be able to find something and get distracted that it happens to all of us. Trust me, it happens to all of us. I don't care who you are. You could be Beyonce. I'm pretty sure there's moments when Beyonce is like just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and
I'm
scrolling. She might
sure.
not like anything, but she's
Yeah,
there.
definitely she's there. So how do you choose your topics for your blog?
Well, I do have a editorial calendar, so each month I kind of have like a theme. So it's part news, part opinion, I would say. And then there are like some mainstays, like, vibes of the week. Soon I'll be introducing, style of the week, and kind of growing from there. And then really looking at the stats and see what people are kind of reading. A lot of my listicles, like, 5 Instagrammers you should be following, 5 reasons Usain Bolt is an amazing athlete. Like those types of posts really do well. So I'll try to incorporate a little bit of that and, being able to kind of write some opinion pieces around things that are happening within the Caribbean space. That's also, leave room for that. So it's part planning and then part being able to adapt to what's happening in the culture at the moment, and always thinking about the long tail. So SEO is super important, and I'm always looking at my stats, not because I'm trying to see them grow. I am, but I'm more focused on doing more of what is working for my audience.
So having a blog is a lot of work. Like I have a website where I sell my lashes and makeup, and I do little blogs just to inform people on what this stuff is. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't know how people have like a whole blog about different things. So how do
Mm-hmm.
you manage that? And do you have additional help? Do you like pay for people to help you? Are people just contributing? Like, how does that work?
Yes, I have a few people that contribute. I've worked with a few of people. And I've been fortunate enough to work with, a lot of Caribbean writers and people within the space. I do pay them. It's not a whole lot, but it is something. You spend your time kind of creating and cultivating. I think people should be paid for their time. And I think that's, a common misconception of doing business, especially in the media space where, people are really getting paid to produce a lot of this content. So, people's time is very valuable. So although I can't pay what, a major magazine would pay, I do pay something. And, in the era of, Huffington Post, where, people were just contributing stories same with BuzzFeed and, Blavity and, sites like a lot of those sites, they actually have contributors just contribute. And that's cool too. But if you're contributing continuously and, all you get is a few clicks here and there, that doesn't, yes, it helps your brand as a writer, but, at the end of the day, a writer and a contributor, they got bills to pay. So I do appreciate a lot of the help that I do get, because it definitely, helps me to create more content, and it allows them to kind of create in a space that is for them. So I think it's a win-win situation. I'm always looking for new contributors and ways for people to kind of be incorporated into the site as well. Yeah, so I don't have a whole lot. But sometimes they'll come to me with stories, or I'll reach out to them and say, hey, would you be interested in doing a story on XYZ, or like interviewing XYZ for the site or something like that. And if they're available, then that's great. And if not, that's okay too. I'm hoping to get some more structure around that in the coming year, and having more. I'd love to have at least, maybe 10 writers that contribute on a regular basis, especially because I kind of have branding things that I want to do, and creating the content and selling the brand is super challenging when you don't have other people to contribute, because I wear so many different hats. So I'm kind of moving in that direction. And then I recently started working with having an assistant, a virtual assistant, to kind of help. But you have to be operationally ready to take on, someone of that nature. And I kind of found like I wasn't really ready, but I'm hoping to kind of be ready in the next year. Taking on a person that is a little bit more permanent, they kind of have to have regular things happening. And I wasn't available time-wise to really coach and guide. It's a lot more work than I had anticipated, but I definitely want to be a little bit more structured and come back to that in the next year.
Okay. So what do you love the most about having a blog? What does it allow you to do that you really enjoy?
I literally can do anything that I want. Like it's amazing to me that I can come up with an idea and just execute it, because there are no barriers. I can literally be as creative as I want. I can try everything that I have ever wanted to try from a digital and marketing standpoint. And that's what I really love, and being able to do it on content that I really just find interesting. It makes it so much easier. Like for me, staying up late and writing pieces or editing videos, or editing, a podcast or creating graphics. Those are all things that I love to do, because the content that I'm creating it around makes it so much easier. I love, our culture and our people. So it makes it so much easier, and I can be as creative as I want. So I think that's what I love really most about being in this space, is there's no one really telling you what to do. It's really your platform. You can be as creative. You can do what you want. You can make changes. You can delete anything. I think people put more stress on the idea and less fun around just create. Like, there's literally no one to tell you that you're wrong. Like, I think it took me a while to even realize that. And, you don't have any kind of gurus or saying, oh, you're doing that. There's going to be someone to criticize everything you do. But once you become firm and like, okay, yeah, I can take the advice, and I can take the critical, comments that you get, and kind of take it with a grain of salt. But you can really be as creative. You can execute the way you want, and you can make changes along the way. So, nothing you do is right or wrong. It's just a learning experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So you recently started a podcast. How is that going for you?
It's so much fun. I love doing the podcast. And it's so funny because it took me so long to do. I really, really, really wanted to do video. And I love talking to people. I love sharing opinions on, culturally relevant topics and really just diving deep and having conversations with people who are just as engaged in the culture as I am. And I really wanted to do that via video, but I don't have a studio space. It's kind of hard to kind of connect with people. So a good friend of mine, Carrie, she was starting her podcast production company, and she was like, you need to do a podcast. You need to do a podcast. And, when you kind of like waiting for, I don't know if it's the right time. I don't really know if I really have the energy. And she's just like, just do it and see how it goes. You can always, like I said, you can always stop it if you feel like it's too much time. And I ended up doing it and really loving it. And I'm having so much fun with it. I love the guests that we have. We had like a natural hit. We just, wrapped this one with Nelly B. We were talking about, curly hair and being in the Caribbean. She's from Trinidad and Tobago. We've talked about like Afro beats and reggae and dancehall's impact on Afro beats. We've had a podcast just talking about Rihanna and her impact on Caribbean music and culture. Like, these are conversations that I want to be having with people anyway. So to have it recorded and have it just be, and especially like some of the celebrity interviews, like Itana and Conscience, it's like there's so many different conversations that you can have with so many different people. And it's a platform where, again, you can be as creative as you want and have the conversations that you want to have with people that you want to have them with, and people really respond to that. That's amazing. Like, I don't take that for granted. Like, people listening, people commenting, people tagging me and sharing, and they have how much they like. I don't take that for granted. Like, every positive, I haven't received any negative feedback on the podcast, and maybe they're just not commenting. But Caribbean people, them would tell you if them not like something. So
right.
I'm excited that people are really being receptive to it. And you never know, it could be more popular than the website, and that's okay for me. Like, as long as the content is there and it's valuable and it's bringing something to the table, I'm for it. So right now I'm having a lot of fun with the podcast.
Great. That's good. I've listened to some of your episodes and I enjoy it too.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That's awesome.
Of course. I love to support my fellow podcasters because, we have to support each other, and I just, and I'm all about Caribbean culture. So, of course, it's right up my alley.
And as much as we think, there's so many people doing it, podcasts right now, I feel like is what blogging was like maybe 5 years ago. It's like the new blogging.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But it's something you have to maintain. And if you're not excited about the content that you're actually producing, you're not going to keep doing it. It becomes like a chore. And of course, not everything is going to be exciting. Every aspect of, producing anything there's going to be tedious work, and, there's going to be issues or whatever. But if you really love and are engaged in what you're doing, and there are so many people, there are so many ideas. I'm glad to see so many of us really digging deep into the space, and people definitely wanting more from the Caribbean and people of color, and it's a good time to really just do what you want. So I'm excited for what podcasts can do for people, and it really kind of took me back to my roots of radio. So just no commercials, which is not too bad.
Yeah. So tell us about Caribbean Digital Divas.
Oh, wow. I wasn't even prepared to answer that question.
That's right, girl. You on the Oh Hell No show. We go in.
I tell you, Jesus. So Caribbean Digital Divas, I wanted to create an event around Women's History Month, which is in March. And the women in our industry are always so overlooked. And we're doing so, I kind of feel like we have so much knowledge, and we definitely kind of shy away from owning everything that we know, and kind of taking that time to stop and reflect on what we bring to the table, and really just inspiring and empowering, other women in the space. So I actually kind of just created that event out of wanting to see more people like me in the space and seeing how that went. It's gotten some really great, response from people, and being based here in New York, I have, I have access to so many different people that it makes it an easy kind of event to kind of put together, and is well received. I haven't done it because I've been in transition, and I kind of decided what I wanted to do with the Caribbean Digital Divas brand. So actually, I am folding it into a series on the website. So coming in 2019, it'll be its own kind of cornerstone series on the site itself. It won't. I can't say that I've I'm close to the idea of doing another event around that kind of topic. But I also want to be open to doing some other events in the coming year. So I've decided to make that kind of like a special hub of the content, and kind of taking the other events that I want to create and doing that, and really kind of, there's more to come for Caribbean Digital Divas, and it's not fully thought out as a plan from an event perspective as of yet. So I don't want to, but it's definitely going to be a series and a mainstay on the site itself, because I think it's important to highlight the women who are doing, excellent work behind the scenes for our culture all the time. So, that's how that came about.
Okay. So what do you think is the hardest part of putting together events where you want to highlight people or have a discussion, or, what do you struggle with when doing that? Because I've never had an event for anything, and the thought of it terrifies me. So what would you identify as the hardest parts of putting those things together?
I probably would say the venue, the identifying, it's pretty scary to do an event, because it's a time to kind of get away from, come from behind the computer. But it ends up being so valuable and so worth it in the end. I think the hardest part is really finding a venue that can really accommodate, and really just the funding and the timing of it. For the most part, I've had a few sponsors, but not like title sponsors. I think going into, some of the events that I would like to have, I would love to have more sponsors come on board, but that really comes with pitching early, making sure that, the brands that you're pitching to have a budget that's allocated towards, events. And a lot of times, we can easily get product, but to get money, like a lot of people are not willing to like just let go and give you money if you haven't proven that, either your platform, you as a person, or your events have a certain level of turnout. And that's important to understand from a business perspective, because brands are in it. They like you, yes, and they want to do business with you. But at the end of the day, it has to make financial sense for them as a brand as well. So you have to think about those things before you even really start pitching to people, and really reaching out. It takes so much more than you probably anticipate. So enlisting people to help you, it's something that I kind of learned very early. Like, you cannot do it by yourself. You can spearhead the idea, but you can't possibly execute every single part of an event yourself. So you have to kind of enlist volunteers and people to really help you with whether it be setting up, breaking down, lean on people that what their expertise is. And maybe they can't do it for free, but maybe they can do it at a discount. But you have to plan those things and execute them in a timely fashion. People, events don't just happen. It takes a lot of planning and process behind the scenes before you even attempt ticket sales and all of that kind of thing. But I think the biggest thing right now is finding a venue that really is cost efficient and central. And then, Caribbean people, they only like to come out certain time for certain things. So keeping that in mind as well. Location is important. Does it have access to a train? How late is this going to be? Is it a weekday? Is it a weekend? We're typically are people who love to party and we love fun and we love drinking. So, those are kind of elements that are around, planning an event that I kind of tried to keep in mind. Like I said, understanding, what your audience really wants and wants to engage with.
Okay. So in all of the things that you are involved in, what do you enjoy the most?
Probably the podcast at this point. I'm having a lot of fun with the podcast. I do enjoy the events, so I really want to do more of that. But the cornerstone of the site is really the content. So again, planning, being able to plan. So my plan is to, have more writers so that I can focus more on the podcast and executing events.
So what do you feel your purpose work is?
I almost feel like your purpose can change and can shift all the time. Right now, my purpose really is, showcasing our culture in a different light and really giving, the people and the platform the shine that they really deserve, outside of, normal what people associate with the Caribbean. But not only that, but like giving a platform for our people to really be proud of, I guess you would say.
Nice. So what message do you hope people receive from your blog about Caribbean culture? If you could just sum it up in a message.
We have no style vibes. Trust me. Like when I really don't know. I love the name. Like it really just embodies who we are as a people. And I'm so glad it almost has like a life of its own, because style and vibes are something like that. Those two words aren't going anywhere. I know like everyone is like good vibes only, good vibes this, all of that stuff. But essentially that word, those two words for me really kind of embody us as a people and our culture. Like it's vibrant, it's definitely rich, it's bold, it's in your face and laid back at the same time, and really and truly only Caribbean people would understand that we're laid back and in your face at the same time. Mm-hmm. Because it I really think that it really just says so much about who we are as a people, that's kind of why I love the name so much. It just embodies who we are, I think.
Nice. So this is the Oh Hell No podcast. So now you have to share an Oh Hell No moment with us. It could be something from, your work professionally, your side hustle with Style and Vibes, or something personal, anything that gave you a cause for pause. We want to know.
Oh, I find myself saying, oh, hell no, the older I get, because, when you're young, you say yes to everything because you want to kind of experience and have those things. But it also allows, for people to kind of take advantage. So I think as I've grown, I say no to a lot more because I'm very conscious of how I spend my time and who I spend my time with. And so I find myself saying, oh, hell no, a whole lot in terms of just being able, I'm not going to do that. No, I can't help you with that. In terms of a specific moment, Specific moment recently where I've said, oh, hell no. Probably when people, I saw this meme and it said, what was it? Damn, I can't even remember it now. It says something like, somebody you can't take me feed yet. And it's like people will try you and will kind of try to go around you. And this is more with probably my 9 to 5 and in my corporate life. People will try to go around you to kind of really get what they want. And it's just like, oh no, you can't go around the thing. You have to go through me. Sorry. Like, I think that's probably the most, I had that more of a challenge in my 9 to 5 than I do with, Style and Vibes. I think I'm probably more going with the flow when it comes to what's happening with Style and Vibes, but with work and with, maybe home life, I'm like, yeah, no, we're not going to, I'm very like demanding. So I know that about myself. So I have very high expectations for people that I work with. So I kind of say, oh, hell no, in my head a lot at work. I don't necessarily always say it out loud because some people might not take too well to that. So I can't think of like a specific moment. Dang. Probably not as exciting for your listeners. I'm sorry.
It's fine. It's fine. You said you have your time. Your time is important. So, oh hell no, you don't have time for no foolishness. So that's good.
Yes. See there. See,
right.
You understand? Yeah, understand this thing. Not time for them foolishness there.
Right. So tell everyone where they can follow you and how they can, check out Style and Vibes and all those good things.
Well, you can check out styleandvibes.com. I would encourage you to sign up for the newsletter. That way you have all the links to all of our social platforms on Instagram and Twitter. It's Style and Vibes, all spelled out correctly, no vibes with a Z. And on Facebook, we are Fly Caribbean Chic. That was our tagline, which I'm kind of changing. So we're going to go back to Style and Vibes pretty shortly. So just sign up for the newsletter. On Instagram, it's Style and Vibes. I think that's where we have a lot of people that are engaging with us there. And if you want to follow my personal account, Mikelah K. Rose, and I'll give you all of the spellings and all that good stuff on Instagram, and Miss Mikelah on Twitter. But yeah, follow, sign up for the newsletter. That way you have access to everything.
Nice.